It's Lisa's bookshelf. Oh, there's Lisa. I see her. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to our webinar. Good to see you. We can't hear you, but it's okay. We can see that we can see you. So that's good. Good. We're just going to give everybody else, we're going to give it 5 more minutes. And yeah, just give us.
We're recording this, is that correct, Barry?
Yeah, we are, actually.
I had a number of people reach out to me saying that they couldn't make this time period, but wanted to know if we were recording.
Our recording? Sure. Yeah, no problem. We can totally do that. We can pop, I'll send it, yeah, we can pop it up on YouTube channel even. Totally fine. I can send it to you and you can pop it up on your YouTube channel if you want to.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Yeah, it was just cool. By the way, Lisa is a tutor, right?
Nice.
Lisa? Yeah. In fact, Lisa, I unmuted you so you can introduce yourself to Ed.
Oh, hi, Ed. I'm Lisa Lawson. I live in Seattle and I do tutoring for a living.
Great.
I'm licensed by Applied Scholastics and I have like 25 years experience teaching math and reading and English and working with a lot of homeschoolers actually.
I bet now these days is probably homeschooling's growing.
It is, and people are just frantic, trying to figure out how they can address what their children's needs are, especially younger kids, because they're trying to do so much online with these little guys.
Yep.
They don't want to sit in front of a screen for 3 hours.
Oh my gosh, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
What a nightmare.
So there are a lot of people want in-person tutoring, but on the other hand, they don't, it's not necessarily safe, they feel. So there's this reach and withdraw on, oh gee, should I do in-person tutoring or not?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do?
I drive growth for businesses.
Ooh, cool. Okay, so you wrote a book or something? You're the speaker today, right?
Yeah, I've written a couple of books and done a lot of articles and a lot of videos and public speaking on the subject. And I'll tell you, just the piece of study tech that I apply, that I found is, this is my opinion, that is the most out in marketing is too steep a gradient. He says in the field of doing this, the most common barrier to study is too steep a gradient. And marketing and business is a field of doing this. So while people have misunderstood words, what I find is they don't find the right gradient that they can do in marketing, which allows them to move to the next level of marketing that they can do. And what I really unlock in a business is, what are you able and willing to do? And then I get them doing that, get their competence up in what they're willing and able to do. Like, well, I can do email. Good. Let's get good at email.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I can see where that would apply to me, because there are things that I can do and other things like, oh man, I can't even confront that,
Right. So I wouldn't even talk about the things. So again, I would establish first, what are you willing and able to do? And you'd say, well, I'm willing to post stuff on social media. Great. What channels are you on? I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. Good. Let's get really good at Facebook and LinkedIn and posting better content more often on those two profiles while expanding your contacts. Let's do that for 3 months. Then after 3 months, you're like, man, I got this thing down. I've got systems. I can do it aesthetically. Then we go, great. Now what's the next core competency I can build upon? And then a year from now, you're giving lectures to tutors on how to use marketing.
Oh, cool.
I mean, seriously.
No, I understand. Yeah, that's the higher gradient. Yeah. And or phase 2, something.
Or phase 2, or maybe it becomes a secondary service. Like, I have a course on how to get more clients as a tutor.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. That's cool.
Good. So yeah, today we're gonna give you some good actionable stuff on how to get
It's 1
referrals.
o'clock.
And basically, sorry, that was my computer telling me it's 1 o'clock. So it's time for us to start. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about referrals, how to get you more referrals. And at least we're going to start on time. There may be some other people that wander in as well, but we're going to start and we're going to talk to you about this.
Neat.
So yeah, so there you go. So kick back, relax, and enjoy yourself.
This is very personal. It's kind of cool.
One-on-one. Yeah, and good. All right, great. So yeah, so Ed, Ed Dearborn, he's going to talk to us about the subject of referrals. I got some specific questions and points I'd like that I want Ed to cover. So first off, Ed, we all know that word of mouth is valuable, right? What are some of the things about word of mouth marketing that some people may be unaware of?
Okay, so just to let you know, I did it. I've been doing marketing since the 80s when I worked for an advertising agency in Irvine, California in 1985. And there we worked on major campaigns with international companies. Concurrently, I was reading books, taking classes in college on marketing. I found my love in life.
Neat.
So I was surrounded by marketing guys and I was reading books. And since that point, I've been following the trends of marketing since. I've always known about word of mouth. Everybody says it's their most favorite. But in the last couple of months, I've re-looked at many things because quarantine gives you the time to look at things in your life.
Oh yeah.
And so I thought, this word of mouth is probably more relative now than ever before. And I'm going to do a deep dive, and I'm talking going to YouTube and watching videos and buying books and reading books. And now I've dedicated an hour a day to reading books on the subject of marketing, again, as well as in the evening. I don't have television, so I watch a lot of YouTube. I wanted to give that backdrop to let you know that I'm investing a lot of time, and what I'm giving you here is observations of not only the last 40 years in marketing, but really just a brand new perspective on what really word of mouth is. So to answer your question, I know I'm
It's okay.
long circle here, is what most people don't know is that word of mouth marketing is the absolute most difficult marketing to get good at, but it is the absolute most rewarding form of marketing. So it's not easy, but when you get really good at this thing, boy, the benefits are amazing. I was recently reading that a survey was done of 1,200 businesses across America. Over 60% of the business that's developed, new business that's coming in for those 1,200 businesses, comes from referrals. So it's the #1 source of new business. Yet only 1% of those businesses surveyed had a written program to proactively create word of mouth. So it's the #1 source of business, but it's also the #1 ignored marketing channel. So here they're getting 60% of their business from source A, but they're dumping their marketing dollars and intelligence over on all the other sources. Because there's this belief that word of mouth just happens on its own. As this one author said, referrals happen by accident. And that's how most people treat word of mouth, is they're just going to kind of let it go forward. And if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. There's no causative viewpoint towards word of mouth marketing. The moment you flip and you go, I am totally causative, I'm going to build into my business proactively systems and methodologies and techniques to inspire word of mouth, all of a sudden the referrals start to come in because you flip the switch in your mindset. That, I think, is the number one thing that we've got to take all of our people that we consult and help and partner with is, number one, I'm going to disabuse you of this idea that it just happens on its own sake.
Fantastic. All right. Well, fantastic. Good. That's amazing. That's true. I mean, yeah, people will say time and time again, that's the number one source of business.
Absolutely. But how do you turn on that number? How do you turn on the faucet to get the flow going? What is that proactive button that you push?
Right. What are you going to do about it? So
Right.
What are some of the unseen or unappreciated elements that actually contribute to it? From the deep dive that you did, what did you find those elements are?
It's actually very fascinating, to me at least. You know, I'm in the business, so
Me too.
of course it's yeah. So I find it fascinating. Here's the thing: when you decide to make a company that's worthy of word of mouth, it forces you to become really good at what you do. This is the way I look at it. Nothing wrong with Facebook ads. Do Facebook ads. Nothing wrong with paid advertising. Do paid advertising. But we know that paid advertising and Facebook ads can't make a bad company good. For word of mouth to be successful, you have to look inside and really fix your stuff. Word of mouth only comes about when you're amazing. So the minute you go, I've got to create amazing, you've got to have humility. You've got to look at your outnesses. You've got to look at your flaws. This is what's so difficult about word of mouth. This is where the work begins. Like, holy crap, I'm not amazing. My company's not amazing. I may be good enough, but am I amazing? Am I worth people talking about? Do I have triggers and systems or services or aspects of my business that are actually worth people talking about? And the moment you look at yourself and you go, okay, I'm good, but I'm not worth talking about, that means I got to move up the amazing scale. What can I do to get my service not from good, but exchange in abundance? How can I create a wow factor? How can I, right? So that's hard for businesses because they got a part of their mind that makes them think that they're already right. And they defend any looking at themselves. Well, I'm pretty good. Yeah, you are. But pretty good doesn't get word of mouth. Can you tolerate actually improving yourself to become amazing? I want to know if you're willing to become amazing or do something amazing or say something amazing, or somehow, how can we put in amazing and wow into your product or service? And that's the challenge. That is where the subconscious mind, the reactive mind, pushes back and goes, I'm good enough. I've been in business for 35 years. Like, I don't care. You're still not amazing after 35 years. How about we actually grow? So when you force the company to look at itself and all of its touch points, how do you answer the phone? Are you dressed nice when people walk in? Is the menu items, which are service fast? Does the food taste good? Is the user experience like, man, that was amazing? Or are you just another Me Too brand that gets forgotten about? When we force a company to look at that, that's when getting word of mouth becomes much, much easier.
That's great. That's great. Any other unappreciated elements that contributed? Is primarily quality, or?
Well, quality is the base. I would say the second element is we've got to get, now that I deliver that amazing experience. So let's say somebody comes to my webinar and goes, wow, I really learned a lot from your webinar, as an example. Now I want to amplify that. And I take the people that are here on the webinar and go, if I get you this video, would you be willing to share it? I've documented the experience. Now can I get the people who had the experience, can I incentivize them to talk? Now, I don't believe money is the greatest incentive. I think it's actually one of the lowest incentives. And then it makes you look a little different, like, I'll pay you if you share my video. It's like, then you weren't amazing enough.
Right.
If I had to pay you. Now, maybe I'll give you a referral fee. Yeah, I can build that in. But is that the prime incentive of why people share stuff? It absolutely is not.
No.
But if I say, how did you like the webinar? And let's say the people here go, man, I learned a lot. Great. Would you want others to learn the same things that you did? Would you want them to have similar experiences that you had in today's webinar? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I know 3 businesses right now that are struggling that could use word of mouth. Great. It would do me, and this is where instead of money, we get them on a purpose. I have the purpose to help small businesses. If you could help me get this video to other small businesses so we can elevate our economy, that would mean a lot to me. So now the motivation is no longer money, the motivation is duty. I'm bringing them up to a purpose of duty. And that duty could just be excitement. Like, would you want other people to have exciting food?
Right.
You know, it doesn't have to be some, SEAL team mission kind of duty thing. It could just be, let's have other people have experiences like you.
Yeah. If you're pumped about it, you talk about it with people. There's certain
Absolutely.
people who will just talk and talk and talk about, this is great. You got to read this book. You got to go to this movie. You got to check out this restaurant.
Watch this video. Yeah, whatever. You need marketing, man. You need better word of mouth. Well, of course I do, but no, watch this video. There's something you can really learn about word of mouth. These guys are on to something. Watch this video. Then what happens when we get 3 people to share it to 3 people? Now our brand is in front of 9 people. That is word of mouth.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So financial incentives then, you touched on a little bit. Should we give them to increase word of mouth? Is it worth it?
I think you can include it where it makes sense, but I would not put that as the forefront of the motivation. I think people, see, that's what you're doing with paid advertising. And people try to shortcut awesomeness with money.
Mm-hmm.
See, when people don't know how to do word of mouth marketing, what they do is, well, I'll just pay an SEO guy. I'll just pay a Facebook guy. I'll just pay a sales. You do it for me. That's the lazy man's way. Now, if your word of mouth and awesomeness is in, then let's just amplify it with Facebook ads and SEO.
Right.
If you've got the core word of mouth awesomeness going, your money will go much further in amplification. Because when it's amplified, they'll finally go, wow, this is amazing.
That totally makes sense.
So, and here's the key, here's the problem also with adding financial incentives. In certain industries, it's illegal. So, if I'm talking to a financial advisor, he can't pay a commission to somebody who doesn't have a license. So you run into that problem. So I go, let's just remove the financial incentives, add that where we can. But if you're going to use that as a shortcut, you still don't understand the core of what makes word of mouth successful, which is you're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And plus, they're not necessarily, it's not as real either, because the person's not thinking, Joe should have this, They're thinking, Yeah.
It's like, let me give you an example. If a restaurant I went to, I had a terrible experience, the food was terrible, it was cold, and it was slow. And they go, we'll give you a free meal if you bring your friends here. You're like, dude, you suck. Like, I don't care what you give me.
Right.
I'm not willing to bring my friends here no matter how much financially you incentivize me.
Right.
Now, if you're awesome, absolutely. If the food was awesome, the experience was awesome, the ambiance, everything, and you want to give me a free meal, ooh, I'll do that all day long.
Right. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, what are some strategies, that you could implement, or some ideas that people could implement, how to increase the whole word of mouth thing?
Well, I think the first thing is number one, what are the touch points that someone would find out about you or be serviced by you? So for a restaurant, it may be, what does your Yelp reviews look like? That's going to tell you whether you're awesome or not.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, if your Google reviews and Yelp reviews suck,
right.
That right there is an analysis. What are people saying about you? Yeah, 5, 10% are, you know what, they're jerks, and they're just going to be mad no matter what. But if you've got 80% people giving you 2 or 3 star reviews, there's something wrong with your company.
Right.
So right there gives me insight of what to fix, because sooner or later, the truth is going to come out of who you are.
Right.
So you have to just take a look at, like, well, what are our touch points when they walk into the store? Do they get our emails? Customer service is a big deal. How you answer the phone. Do you make them wait? So I want to first look at all the touch points and go, you know, your website, is it easy to navigate? Can they find your phone number? I want to take a viewpoint of the customer and going, what is my experience like with the brand, and can I fix those immediately? So that's the first thing I want to fix. Number 2, now there's companies out there I've run into where most of the clients are happy. So now, do we have a system in place? And I'll give you one example. One of my very first clients in digital marketing about 10 years ago is a custom shutters company in Tustin, California. And I started with them like in 2008, 2009. Very, very small. And since that time, we've 10x'd their revenue. They've gone from $25,000 a month. They're now doing $250,000 a month in revenue since I've been working with them.
Wow.
And one of the first things we did is, you know, where are you getting your clients? And they're like, well, we get referrals, like everybody says. I go, great. Do you have your database? Do you contact them through email and postcards? No. So we went and compiled all the invoices. They'd been in business for over 20 years. We found names of 7,000 people in their database. We uploaded it to email where we could find it. We uploaded it to mail. We started mailing and emailing. Within 2 months, we doubled their revenue from 25K to 50K just by the touch points. Email's a touch point. We just put out really good content. We put out specials. Then as people came in and Yelp was becoming more prevalent, they started getting good reviews and they started getting people from Yelp. But this is how we turned the great experience into what is referred to as user-generated content, meaning the user is creating content for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we did this process. This became a standard process. They delivered excellent service. They delivered the wow.
Right.
Love your shutters. You know, Aaron came down. He fixed them. He was so friendly. You go, great. So you loved us. Oh, you guys are amazing. Would you be willing to say that on Yelp and Google? Absolutely. So we emailed them the link to their Yelp and Google page and said, just write your review and post it. 2 years later, we kept doing that. We did an analysis of what the user-generated content was doing, right? We took the good experience and we got the users to talk about them in places where customers usually go, Google and Yelp.
Mm-hmm.
We got their reviews up to like 150. It took us 2 years to go from 20 to 150 reviews. We did a stat analysis. Those review sites generated over $500,000 per year in revenue from people finding them.
Wow.
We estimated that each review, each 5-star review, was worth $3,500 in annual revenue for the company.
Wow. That's amazing.
So it is amazing. So we took the amazing result, we documented the amazing result, we got the people who experienced the amazing result and all we did, and here was the only incentive. no financial incentive. We said, other people like you go on the internet and look for custom shredder companies. There's some people out there that don't deliver the level of service and care that we do. We want to make sure that people, when they're looking for someone, that they find us. When you give a review, it gives people confidence that we are the right choice. By giving your review, you're helping other good people like you find good people like us. Would you help us in that mission? And they're like, yes, I want to have other people have good experiences too. Again, we took it up to duty and purpose, not financial and money motivation.
That's
And
awesome.
when you give people that kind of that purpose, it's almost like, I'm going to help other people. and it works. That's just an example, but we could do that with video. We could do case studies, white papers. We could do interviews on podcasts, like, hey, I'm with my client. I know, Barry, you used to, when you were in St. Louis, you do that show, what's your favorite marketing? And you get them to talk. That was a user-generated content to some degree. It wasn't just you talking about it. The user there was helping you generate the content. You were putting it out there, and it got to really showcase not only your expertise, but it gave people insights. And I think that is also another aspect of user-generated content. Can we interview the people on video or a podcast that have experienced the wow? They then share that video to their people.
Right.
You share that to your people. That's a form of word of mouth.
Absolutely. Yeah. Testimonial videos. And I mean, yeah. And the reviews are so key. It's like these days, like they're so key, like for, if like a tutor like Lisa, who's with us today. I mean, she should have her own Google My Business page and
Yelp page.
Yeah. And then be collecting those, sending the people links to those specifically so that they can get, so she can pile up those reviews, and really go for having more reviews than anybody else in her community, as a goal.
It really is. And I'll tell you something. The other thing is that it's been found that if you've got a ton of reviews, when they come to you, if they've been to those review sites, they're 90% closed. They're like, when they see that you've got, 800 reviews, I mean, when I first moved to the Las Vegas area 4 years ago, I already knew where to go. I went to Yelp, and I love Thai food. I grew up in Thailand when I was a little kid for a few years, and I learned to love Asian food. Well, I found this one place that had 1,000 reviews at an average of 4.5 stars. I was like, okay, I don't need to do my search is done. And guess what happened? I went there. The food was absolutely amazing. It's called Natalia's Secret Kitchen. See, I'm giving word of mouth because of their amazing food. And every time somebody visits me in Vegas, they go, where's the best food? I'm like, dude, I'm going to hook you up with the absolute best Thai food I've ever had in the world.
Great.
And every time I go there, the place is absolutely packed.
That's fantastic. Awesome. So any other real life examples? You got another real life example or two of how you've helped people to generate this or put these practices into place, generate more referrals?
Yeah. One of the other things that we do, I've worked with a bookkeeper, and it's amazing. Email to me is more relevant than it's ever been. It's been around for 40 years. Everybody does email, yet it's almost like it's the least appreciated. So what I did is, the most business owners that are really good at what they do, they've got so much information in their head. They got so much know-how that's not being exported. So one of the common tricks or techniques that I use is I go write down the top 20, 30 questions you get asked all the time. You've been in business for 30 years as a financial consultant or as a bookkeeper. I did this with a mortgage broker. And he was like, oh, well, how does one qualify for an FHA loan? Great, write that question down. Is it better to do a 20-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage? So we wrote all these questions down. I said, great, now I want you to write down complete answers, accurate, complete answers for every one of those questions in a very conversational tone. I don't want it to be clinical or cold. I want it to be as if you were saying it over a cup of coffee.
Right.
So we took these top questions. We then answered, and I'll tell you a little trick how you could do that. You write them down and then you speak them into a video or a recorder, and then you have them transcribed. You give them to an editor after the transcription is done, and then, you know, they can make it all nice and grammatically correct.
Right.
So we collected all her emails, which she hadn't done. We put together her email list, which was about 500 people of people that reached out to her, friends, family, past clients, leads. And so the subject line was the question: why should I hire a bookkeeper, you know, to help me with my books? And we put the answer. Well, we just distributed that to the people that already know and love her or like her to some degree. Within 2 weeks of just answering common questions, she started getting people going, wow, you know, like how, and we found out that there were some new questions coming up since quarantine, like how do I qualify for the loan that the government's giving out?
Right.
What forms do I have to fill out? So good, write down those answers to those questions. All of a sudden, she was not only getting new leads and new business and referrals. In the last 5 months, Barry, I have tripled her revenue, and she's been in business for 3 years.
Wow.
I've taken 3 years worth of being in business, and within 5 months, I've tripled it by just building your email list, answering questions that people already have. Interestingly enough, and I think I'm the only person that has made this observation, the word authority is derived from the word author. When you author content, you become an authority.
Correct.
Become the author of the answers. Become the gatekeeper of know-how and wisdom. Become the portal for insights. And when you do that, you build your reputation. That to me is part of the wow experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, I didn't know that about marketing. Wow, I didn't know that about bookkeeping. You seem to always have relevant, actionable, important information that answers my questions. Well, if you do that and you know other people, I commonly get answers where I don't have that problem, Edwin, but I'm forwarding your email to my brother that just started a business and he needs to understand what you're doing.
Right.
Again, word of mouth.
That's great. That's fantastic. All right. Well, great. So then let me ask you this. What I know you said that there are 3 core components to increasing word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
You told me this. What are they? What are they?
Real simply, number 1, let's create the wow moments. So we that takes that bit of humility. You got to get the chip off your shoulder. You got to stop being right. And you got to look at yourself and go, where can we improve this company and create wow experiences? Number 2, when those experiences are created, we need to document it through video, a Yelp review, a Google review, a testimonial, a white paper, a case study. There's different ways to package that experience and basically we want to document it.
Okay.
It could be a short documentation, a couple sentences, a Yelp review, or it could be a long documentation as a 45-minute video interview. So one way or another, we want to package and document that wow moment. Number 3, we want to amplify that documentation, and we can do that through SEO, email, paid ads. So let's say I've got a video of helping somebody and they go, wow, you tripled my business. Great. I get that on video. And then I use Facebook ads and SEO to put that out to 5,000 people like her.
Right.
So wow moment, document wow moment, amplify wow moment.
That's fantastic. Okay, good. That's fantastic. All right, great. So it's pretty enlightening. So let me ask you this. I mean, this is stuff that people can put to work right now.
Right now.
Anything, any homework for them or anything you want to say in closing?
Yeah. Look at where you can put the wow in your business. Write down the 25 most common answers or questions and answers. I bet you that most businesses that have been around already have a backlog of people that have already had the wow moment. Like the bookkeeper, I told her, I said, Maya, you must already have some happy clients. She's like, and she wrote down 28 people.
Wow.
So we wrote an email to these 28 people going, hey, if I've helped you in any way, here's a link to my Google My Business page. Would you leave a positive review? Within 3 days, we got 5 of them to leave a positive review. We're now taking those positive reviews and we're now going to add them to our website. We're going to be emailing them out going, hey, check out my recent reviews. That's something that you can do right now. So you may have already created that wow moment, but you failed to document it. So go back and find the 4 or 5 people that you've already serviced that love you to death and go, hey, I just set up my Google My Business page or my Yelp page, or I've been compiling my email list. Could I get a video of you or a written success story so that I can put that out to other people? And then lastly, realize that you can causatively create wow, to document that wow, and distribute the wow. That's the wow triangle.
That's awesome. That's great.
I just came up with that.
That's good. I like it. All right, well, great. Well, good. So this is what we do, by the way. If you need help with this, you can definitely reach out to Ed or myself, and we'd be very interested in extending that help. And then if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself.
Ask us questions.
Yeah,
Lisa,
I just unmuted you. Dennis, I'm trying to unmute you. It's not letting me for some reason. But if either one of you have any questions, please, yeah.
Well, I don't have a question at the moment. I just want to say thank you because I really enjoy having you point out these elements of, being amazing is bottom line. You have to do that in order to keep anybody around. And I have accomplished that. I have lots of success stories on my website, but I haven't been keeping up my email list, and it's completely, out of date. I need to just put some discipline in on and put that together. And then I really like what you said about the 25 questions because that could turn into a blog. You could answer each one could be a blog, or each one could be a separate.
Absolutely.
It could be
absolutely.
Or it could be a separate email to this is why blah blah.
You're starting to think like we do.
Thank you.
Again, you take that document and then you go, okay, wow, that could be a blog post. That could be a video on YouTube. That could be an article. That could be an email. That could be a post on Facebook. Yeah, repurposing that same content multiple places. And guess what happens? I literally have had referrals from people that have never done business with me simply because I love your posts. It seems like you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Why? Because I just answered questions. I wasn't, and I tell people, I'm not the smartest marketer in the world. There's people way above, Gary Vaynerchuk and Grant Cardone and David Meron Scott and Dory Clark and Jay Baer, and I could list out 30 guys that are just I look to with awe that are much better than me. Okay. But because they have access to me, they go, well, you know enough. And I don't know Grant Cardone or David Meron Scott, but I know you. Right. So even though you're not the best, doesn't matter. You're the best that they can access, and you're the one delivering the wow. So as far as they're concerned, you're the one.
Okay, this is awesome. Yeah, and also I'm thinking put those 25 questions into FAQ, frequently asked question page.
There you go. There's another way to repurpose it. Yeah. And then So now if you've got answers to 25 emails or 25 questions, you literally have the next 6 months worth of email campaign ready to roll.
True.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I feel armed.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I also, it's actually really validating just to hear about you talking about word of mouth, because that is my primary source, and it has been for many years. And I started coasting on it, like, oh, I got so many referrals, I don't even have to advertise anymore. And I stopped
Right.
advertising for a couple of years, just coasting on my word of mouth. And then it starts to peter out, and it went really dead for a few weeks during the first part of the pandemic. But it's like, okay, well, how did I have that word of mouth established? What did I do? And I already have all the wow moments recorded. I have so much success stories. I just need to do the next step, which is what you said, to distribute it. So
Yeah, and just to take this another step further for you, Lisa, I could see you doing a whole series of how to teach children at home.
Oh yeah, oh gosh, there's so
You
much
know,
I could say.
the homeschool series. I could see a reality show called, Pandemic Moms,
Oh, it's so true. I could start a Facebook group on that, in fact,
You
because
should.
how to help your kid at home during the pandemic. It's a terrible ruin right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, and
Yeah.
now there's an urgent need, an urgent ruin in society, and they're looking for leadership. And what's a
Absolutely.
leader?
They
An
are.
authority is someone who authors.
Yes. Okay. I really get it. It's so awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
See? We create the wow moments.
Yeah, it's a total
And we're documenting it on this video. And then Barry and I will distribute this.
Go ahead. Sure. I'm curious about our other person here. Is Dennis?
Dennis, you got any questions?
No, I'm good. I'm just picking all this up. This is great information.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks for being. Thanks. All right. Great. All right. Well, great. So we'll stay in touch. You're on our email list. We'll send out a copy of this video so you could share it with your friends. That'd be fantastic if you could, and say that say what you want to say. And this is some good data they can have. And thanks for being here. Anything else you want to say, Ed, in closing?
No. Again, thanks for your time and effort. I know that this is the core problem with any business that's struggling. I guarantee you, they're not confronting or addressing or leveraging wow moments.
Yeah.
If they really understood, look, everybody wants to have something amazing happen in their life. They want to meet the right person. They want to go on the right adventure. They want to have that moment of serendipity where something magical happens. When a brand can become a part of that serendipity and deliver, it doesn't have to be a lot of magic, just that something that just puts a smile on someone's face just for that moment. That can be a wow moment, by the way. When you walk into a coffee shop and the person's like, because I've been there so many times, hey, Edwin, thanks again for supporting us. It's so important that you're here. And, just that little comment. They know my first name. They know what coffee I want. They make me feel warm and welcome.
Sure.
All of a sudden, that coffee place now becomes my second living room.
Right.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good about myself. It gets me off to a good morning. And now I want to bring my friends and family when they're in town. They go, hey, do you know a good coffee place? Oof, I know a good coffee place.
Cool. Makes sense.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. Thanks,
All
Ed.
right.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Look for our email, we'll be back to give you more enlightening data to expand your.
Tell your
business.
friends.
Tell your friends. Yeah, bring your friends.
All right. Wonderful.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
take care. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.